specific. Can we go? Please, Mom, can we go? I was convinced that I had to be there. Secretly, I thought that he would spot me in the crowd and pick me, although I'm sure that's what every girl thought. Luckily for me, my 31-year-old mother was as crazy about Elvis as I was, a fact that impressed my friends because their moms didn't approve of his raw sexuality. To this day, I don't know where she found the money, but somehow Georgia did. Mom and I dressed up and made our way to town, more like sisters than mother and daughter. Feeling the tension grow the closer we got to the Fairfax district, we soon found ourselves caught up in a pulsing mob of 9,000 noisy girls. We were swept inside the auditorium on a wave of pure adrenaline. Our folding seats were about halfway back in the audience, but that was fine with me. Looking around at all the girls gazing in anticipation at the darkened stage, I could feel my heart pounding inside my little flat chest, a sensation I was to become all too familiar with later in my life. The stage was dark, but then the spotlights hit him. Elvis was there. He was magic. There was a roar from the crowd that was like nothing I'd ever heard. An explosion of flashbulbs went off. I only wish I'd brought my little Kodak brownie. Elvis was standing there in his famous gold suit, which was shimmering and changing color in the spotlights. He was so handsome with that amazing smile and lustrous black hair, exactly the same color as mine. Everyone around us jumped to their feet and started screaming so hysterically that we could hardly hear a word of Heartbreak Hotel. But, boy, we could see his moves. The way he gyrated his hips and shook his legs so that they quivered. Not content with making as much noise as they could, the girls began jumping up and down on their chairs for a better view, which meant that from then on, we could only see Elvis's head and shoulders. Being in the middle of that shrieking crowd was like being caught up in a massive swivel-hip tidal wave swept along with the hysteria toward the stage. I had no idea why everyone was acting so insane. I was too young to get that part of it, truthfully. But if I'd been 3 years older and my mom had been 3 years younger, we would have fainted. It was the most exciting experience I'd ever had because I knew that I wanted to be on that stage in the spotlight one day too. When I looked over at my mom, she was down for the count. We were both mesmerized. She looked so beautiful, dressed in some amazing outfit that of all the girls in that place, including me, I felt sure that Elvis would have picked her. Pressing my mouth to her ear so that she could hear, I cupped my hands over it and yelled, "Mom, can we stand on our seats and scream too?" "Yes," she replied, grinning like a teenager and taking off her high heels. "Come on, let's do it." So we did, straining on our tiptoes to see him. Glowing with happiness, I tried to work out if Elvis would be too old to marry me by the time I was grown, so that he could sing to me every day. Dreaming of being Mrs. Presley, I couldn't stop talking to Mom about Elvis for weeks as I floated around on a gold lame cloud. Chapter 1. Georgia on My Mind. Somewhere in the back of a drawer in my mother's house was hidden a small black and white photograph of me that I never laid eyes on. She couldn't bring herself to share it with me and broke down each time it was even mentioned. To the day she died, the pain of the moment that picture was taken in 1947 was as raw as ever, and the woman later known as Georgia Holt couldn't bear to be reminded of it. From what little I'd learned, the tiny square of celluloid depicted me as a baby clinging unhappily to the rails of my crib in a Catholic children's home in Scranton, Pennsylvania. It was taken through a small viewing window by my tearful 20-year-old mom, at that time still Jackie Jean, her birth name, a singer from rural Arkansas working for tips as a waitress in an all-night diner. She'd come to see me on one of her weekly visits to the home where my father had placed me before he took off on his latest money-making scam. I still can't believe he left her in Scranton with a baby, no money, and few skills never to return. The nuns took in two types of waifs and strays: teenage girls who'd stray from the path of virtue and infants rescued from evil surroundings. I guess